we're going to start with our first game of the show. It's Outrun 2006 Coast 2 Coast. That's a numeral 2. Mm-hmm. Even though this is not really a sequel to Outrun, is it? It's more like a
Actually, it is. It's the enhanced version of the actually numbered sequel to Outrun, Outrun 2.
Yes.
Which I believe was made on the Chihiro arcade board, Sega technology that was based off of the Xbox architecture, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. In fact, if you look up on just a list of Sega arcade games on Wikipedia, it just lists Outrun 2 as Xbox-based. I don't think it even specifies the board necessarily, though if you dug deeper, you'd probably spot that.
Well, this was nominated by 3 people, and I think they all nominated games, like versions of the game that were slightly different. I think one person nominated Outrun 2006, and somebody else nominated another version, which we'll talk about. They were at Eric Twice on Twitter, at Jegriva, I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce that, but Jegrriva, and at Pooplos Z. Pooplos_Z. So thank you guys. I had not played this game very much until I was, started preparing for this show, and I played it for quite a bit because it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So can we kind of demystify like all the different versions of this game? So you said there was one called Outrun 2.
Yes. So Outrun 2 is an arcade release, and it's 2002 or 2004. Sotenga, which one is it?
The arcade was at the very end of 2003, actually.
2003, okay. I'd believe that.
Yeah, right in December even. And then to Xbox it came in 2004, and only got a PlayStation 2 port in Japan in 2007, oddly enough.
Did that... It got a US release.
It actually did, I can confirm that.
Wait,
yeah.
The PlayStation 2 version?
The 2006 Coast to Coast got North American releases on the PS2 and PSP, I believe.
My bad. I was only talking about the original Outrun 2. This is going to be confusing. So already.
So we're kind of talking about 2 separate games, I think, to be perfectly honest. But if we can condense them into one entity, which I think is... You get into, is Strider for the NES the same as Strider for the arcade?
Well,
doesn't 2006 have all the content from 2 anyway?
Yes.
So it's redundant.
Yeah, so 2006 has, it does have all the content from, I think it comes up as Outrun 2 SP. And then that's the one, if in Japan, that's the only version that came out for the PS2, I think. So, and it didn't have like the link up feature with the PSP to get like extra cars, so they just were unlocked from the beginning, I think. Which that's one thing you could do. If for some reason you had it, you're like, I love this game, I'm going to get it for my PS2 and my PSP, which I don't really understand why anyone would do that. But that's how I think you unlock a car or two that way, which I think is kind of crappy.
You have to earn your keep in these sorts of games.
It's not, I mean, look, a PSP is a great thing to have, and a PS2 is a must-have, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I don't like the idea of like penal. I didn't like it when they did the special stuff with Metroid and the GBA version. I just don't like that.
Yeah, it's understandable. That's companies being companies.
But anyway, you're saying that the PSP version of Outrun 2006 is basically an amiibo.
I mean, it functions as that. Its connectivity features is kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, portable console connectivity. I believe the GameCube and the GBA did this too. It was basically the prototype to amiibos, now that I think about it.
Yeah, you get like one little
Skylanders, if you will.
But see, at least with the GBA and like with Metroid, so it's like what Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion. I mean, those are 2 different games. With Outrun 2006, it's the same game.
Yeah.
So why would you need it anyway?
That's regardless of the game itself, though.
Yes.
The game itself is really fantastic, and I'm not normally a fan of racing games because I think they're kind of BS to play. But
okay, but here's the thing, Sotenga. Yu Suzuki himself said that Outrun is actually a driving game, not a racing game.
That's right.
You never really compete against anyone. It's all about... It's basically a time trial more than anything.
Well,
it's you against yourself. That's right.
The original Outrun, yes. Outrun
this one
6, not exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it does have an original arcade mode that's just basically original Outrun, but with cooler graphics.
So let's kind of talk about what makes this game a little bit different from Outrun then. So
Sure.
Starting with like the arcade version of the game, which is included in 2006. So I think we can talk about it. But it is basically, so I think Outrun didn't have branching paths, right?
Arcade
I think
Outrun?
it did.
No, it did, of
Yes.
course.
It did?
Yes.
Well, okay, so it just does that.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought that was new. I guess I haven't played the original Outrun in a long time.
Oh,
no,
boy.
it's like you
Probably-
get.
I was getting confused with Hang On, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Super
All
Hang
the
On
super
was
scalar games basically just
straight
run together.
linear. But yeah, Outrun the original had you. You had the same starting point, but at the end of every area, you could go either left or right, and right generally led you to harder tracks, and there were a possibility of 5 end areas with their own ending graphic that you could activate. I think like one of them has your girlfriend steal the trophy instead of the racer, or like another one has a genie appear and you wish for like, I don't know, hunky or bud, or I forget exactly how it worked, but it's pretty goofy.
Yeah, so it functions more or less like the original Outrun then. I think it's every version of the game is just totally Ferrari branded cars, right? They're all Ferrari, not branded, but that's the make of all the cars.
Which is why this game never got re-released in digital distribution, sadly.
Right. This is back when Sega had some kind of deal with Ferrari, because didn't they also make like a Ferrari racing game for Dreamcast?
Were they factored in the Sega Rally? I don't remember.
Same thing happened with Afterburner Climax, which is also a really good game that which got taken down off the digital distribution not long ago.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
They had some kind of deal with Lockheed Martin, but anyway, I have a question.
Yeah.
Has anyone actually finished a playthrough of this game, as in completed a playthrough? Because I haven't. I don't really know what you're supposed to be doing.
I got, a playthrough of what, the arcade mode?
Yeah, just like get to any of the endings.
I didn't. I played it for about 3 days, and I could get to the last stage of the fifth stage of any race, but I would always run out of time before I got to the end.
Yeah, same. I was like 3
It's really
stages away
kind
from
of
the end.
challenging. Yeah.
I'm pretty poor at Outrun as much as I like it. I driving/racing games are not my forte. I don't know if it's because I've never owned an actual car, but I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like if you bump badly or flip off the road once, you're pretty much doomed.
I don't know what it is you're actually supposed to be doing. Like, I know about drifting. I was doing that the entire time. I don't know if it was helping or not.
I don't know either.
I guess the broader goal of this game is to be accumulating, I forget what they're called, let's call them Outrun bucks.
Oh, yeah, I think they call them like miles or something like that.
Miles, yes.
I could never figure out what to do. I recall that you unlocked stuff with them, right? After like at a certain number of miles,
Yes.
you unlocked things. Yeah.
It's
So
like
when you're
cars and...
right, that's another thing. That's kind of a good way of. I mean, it was pretty standard by the time this game came out, but it's a way of just making a pretty simple racing game, kind of teasing out some additional replay value and giving the player something to work towards. And so there's also like I don't want to say story mode or career mode exactly, because I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't have a job. He just drives cars with ladies.
How unrealistic.
And this is another one of these racing games that involves like winning the affections of a lady friend with cars or vehicles of some kind, where your prowess handling the vehicle is like an analog to your like sexual ability or something. I'm not really sure how this works.
At least you're not given a trophy by a woman in a bikini with about 3 frames of animation.
Like the Cruising USA.
Yeah.
Let's see, buddy. I got some bikini girls who can hand out trophies, but there are only 3 frames of animation.
I think Outrun is... I'm going to make a bold claim. Outrun 2 is basically the last huzzah of Sega making arcade games in a big way. I think Afterburner Climax came out a couple of years... It came out in like 2006. And I mean, it's Afterburner, and Afterburner's great because it started as a Yu Suzuki Superscaler game, as far as I know. But you think about Sega, do you think about Sega as a arcade developer that got into consoles and got out? And if you think about it in the context of this is a badass, fast, good-looking, kind of breezy arcade game company, Outrun 2006 is kind of the final distillation, and I think a really good distillation of old Sega, of classic Sega. I think a Sega that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of their swan song, except they stayed around for another decade for some reason.
Yeah, still here.
Hey, they're not making pachinko machines as far as
Yeah,
I
making
know, exclusively.
Only thing similar to Outrun really was the Sonic and Sega racing games, both of which are really good.
Yeah.
Also feature Outrun content. That's worth checking out.
Those are more kart racers, though, right?
I'd say they have similar physics, especially when it comes to drifting.
Yeah, Outrun's not a simulation racing game by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I was going to say they share the same engine, but I could be wrong on that. They feel similar in physics, at least.
I think we got to cover the mechanics of it really fast.
Yeah.
One thing is I think standard to most arcade racers. It's like a checkpoint based racing system where you get like Ridge Racer or something. Except Ridge Racer goes in laps, and this is just like a straight path of destruction through like populated areas. And so you have a timer, and it starts out with like, I don't know what, 90 seconds or something like that, or I don't even know if they're exactly seconds. They're just 90 cron units or what.
Sure.
And if once you get to, you finish a track, and then you get an additional 60 seconds or something probably. And so the problem with the game, and not problem with the game, but the challenge of the game is that you can keep going. It's not like you can run out of. I don't think there's too many ways to lose a race other than just running out of time. You can get in, I think, as many wrecks as you want to.
It's actually very difficult to act. There's definitely going to be a point where you lose more time than you get, and that's why it's so difficult to actually finish a playthrough. And
you start building a deficit, like your mistakes are building like a deficit of time that will catch up with you eventually. And that's what usually happens to me is I'll be going along great, and then I'll get in like one wreck, and that pretty much ruins you, I think. Maybe there's some trick to driving that I'm not getting, but I'm pretty good at not like avoiding the walls and the other cars. But anyway, so that's nothing new. Then the other thing the game adds is, and sometimes it's called heart attack mode, I think, and that is the one where your paramour in the passenger seat will issue bizarre challenges to you during the race. So it's just like a normal race, except you also get these weird challenges. So she'll say like, hit all the cars. So you have to hit all the cars that are in your way. And if you fill up the hardometer, you get points. And it doesn't really help. I don't think it adds any time to your timer, which would be more useful. But so they're like, and it gets weirder and weirder. So there's like avoid the semi trucks. Don't crash, which is probably the easiest one. The one I hated was like cross the lines, and so there's like a bunch of like, I don't know, like weird floating tripwire things, and you got to go through them. And there's like avoid the UFOs where they shine. You got to avoid the UFO spotlights and stuff like that. And that's a pretty cool aspect of the game. And then there's also I can't remember what they call it. It's not career mode, but you know what I mean. In that it's also split up in like a progression thing where this guy who looks like Ernest Borgnine gives you different kind of race challenges. And so like a couple will be like, just complete the race in good time. Another one will be win the race, and it'll give you some people to beat. Another one will be, I think that's usually what they are so far. And then you've got to average out on all those races at, they give you a rank at the end of the race, from, I guess, F to triple A, or is there an S rank? I never got an S rank. But if you average out to A's on all of them, then you get to go to the next set of challenges where it gets a little bit harder. But you're always racing on, I think, basically the same tracks, as far as I can tell. But those are the things that make the game kind of different than its predecessors.
We haven't said that it's actually really good as a racing game. I mean, it controls well. It goes really fast, which is obviously
It does look
important.
really good, yeah.
It is definitely a very fun game to play, even as difficult as it is. So I'd say
if you want to get into arcade racers, I'd say this is a good starting point.
Yeah, it's notable that this one's actually called Outrun 2 because there were actually at least two more Outrun arcade games between this and the original Outrun. One was I believe, Outrunners, and then there was Turbo Outrun, something of the...
And then a bunch of European exclusive games we best not discuss.
And Battle Outrun, these console exclusives that really aren't all that
What about
great.
The one they play in Encino Man? Rad Machine?
I never saw Encino
Outrun
Man
2049?
There's an Outrun 2019.
2019, yeah.
Wow.
That sounded so far in the future.
Sure, the distant future of 2019.
Now it's like you're hearing like, oh, the next Star Wars movie is coming out in 2019 or something.
Sure.
I guess we should probably rank it.
Also, guys, the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, Magical Sound Shower
so
wins everything. That's right.
It's got that's the nice thing is it's got different versions of the.
Yeah, it has all the classic tracks from the original Outrun and several new ones.
In the,
kind of like
the
Life.
Genesis tracks too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of partial Life was a bore, but nothing beats Magical Sound Shower for all ages, as far as I'm
Few
concerned.
things do.
Exactly, man.
I mean, I'm thinking more like the Snatcher range. Like it's kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snatcher's in a similar. It's like it's a kind of like a paragon of a pretty small genre. Although no, I guess visual novels is a huge genre, right?
Sure. Yeah, if the genre you're thinking about is English Sega CD adventure games, then sure.
Yeah. It just depends on how you look at that one, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's really not supposed to be ranking these based on what kind of game it is. It's more.
Oh, yeah, sure. You're saying above or below Snatcher, though?
It doesn't really make a difference to me. I mean, it's kind of like
Okay,
Snatcher.
well, let me put it this way then. Do you want it above or below G.I. Joe?
I think G.I. Joe is a cooler game.
Whoa.
I know you're fond of G.I. Joe.
Well,
am
let's not
fond
keep
of G.I.
downranking Outrun here. I think
Look, okay, so G.I. Joe. All right. So we didn't really get to talk a lot about G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it's from the olden times.
It's from ye old days of Game Club 1990X episode 35.
Back when Dirt was young.
But it's a KID game, and I like those guys a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's a
Makers
kind
of
of
G-Man.
contrast thing, but it also has a weird sort of. The base stages are really creative, where you go play like a regular stage, and then it goes to a base stage.
They're Metroid-esque, kind of.
In the base stages, you're trying to find all the like structural weakness points, and you plant plastic explosives on them, and then you finished it when you've got them all planted. But then you have to fight a boss for some reason before the place explodes.
So it's like Crackdown.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to get around to that one. The Sega Crackdown, not the Xbox one.
It's got all kind of standard Contra-esque weapons, except you can also switch between different characters. And the characters are all the toys, G.I. Joe toys.
Yeah, it's
one
three.
of which is Captain Gridiron, who I guess is the G.I. Joe specialist of American football.
He's the least known of them, but he's like the best character too.
So
I
we're
love
getting to the point where the Outrun is at the risk of winding up in the bottom half of this list.
No, it's not.
And we are. It's like Donkey Kong Country 3 is the midline, and I will not see it go below Donkey Kong Country 3.
I would put it above. I would put it above Tapper too. That's what.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not really. I mean, I think it's in the G.I. Joe range. I'm not. I don't really. It's kind of depends on how the votes go down here.
Yeah, I would allow to go about there.
Okay, so above or below G.I. Joe?
Let's say above.
I say below. We
I'm
got
go-
above.
I don't think I've had much chance to weigh in here. Honestly, I would have still placed this one above Snatcher just because it has.
So that's 3 aboves. All right.
I would also put it above Snatcher.
I mean, Snatcher is a great experience, but it doesn't have nearly as much possible replay value, which I guess is a really stupid basis of comparison, visual novels as it were, but I'm just going to give the extra edge to Outrun 2 because it does have the original Outrun in it as well, fully emulatable and playable, so, it's got more game to it. It's got a lot of nostalgia points.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2 votes for above Snatcher. What do you think, Bobinator?
I mean,
I'll allow that.
Okay, so it's above Snatcher.
I'm not going to, not to push it too much, but a good friend of mine, hey Dire51, how's it going? A shout out. Probably murder me if I didn't make the case to put it above Street Fighter 3 Third Strike as well, but I don't know. I might be kind of pilloried here, so I'm going to blame you guys for that.
I think Outrun's pretty damn good, but even I don't even really like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike that much.
Me neither.
I don't like Street Fighter that much.
Third Strike.
I'm not crazy.
Third Strike.
Want those Street Fighter 3 people to come after me and fucking knife me.
It is a rather rabid fan base. I'll admit all the complaints I heard when Street Fighter 4 came out. Oh my god, it still makes me. Anyway, between Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, and Snatcher, can we just settle on that?
Right.
Let's go with that.
So I
think this has gone on long enough.
All right.